Good morning, everyone. It's 11 o'clock. We're just going to say it's 11, even if it isn't exactly 11. That's what we do. And it's Wednesday, and that means it's time for Elevenses with the Reps at Teasel Bookstore. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Every Wednesday, we get together here in our little crowdcast space with our fabulous publishers, representatives, and booksellers, and we talk about books. Generally, we talk about new and upcoming releases, but we also discuss old favorites. We go down rabbit holes. We talk about everything book related. This is your little oasis, your little book sanity oasis here for about an hour. So pull up a stool, grab, or chair, I guess, grab a beverage, adult or otherwise, nobody's looking, and join us. I'm going to introduce our wonderful reps in a moment, but first I want to tell you about an event we've got going on at the store on Tuesday, July 8th at 6:30 p.m. over there at our Diesel, Brentwood. And we are going to welcome Jennifer Hasloff and Shannon Watts, and they will be at the store discussing and signing Proof of Life, Let Go, Let Love, and Stop Looking for Permission to Live Your Life, and Fired Up, How to Turn Your Spark into a Flame and Come Alive at Any Age. You can see those two really go together well. And they're going to be there at the store again, going to be Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. And we have other events coming. We've got a busy summer, and Joey behind the scenes there has posted the link over there so you can check everything out. And we'll be talking about all of it more. Speaking of which, and talking about things, if you have any questions, comments, or just want to heckle your host, feel free to.
You'd love that, I'm sure. Deborah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Are bad reviews like the same as heckling? I don't know. I've never been heckled. I would think that would be awful. That would be like, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could handle it. I have a career in stand up. When I've done book readings, when I feel like I'm losing people, I'm like start getting flop sweat and everything. I think that would be awful. Anyway, but my point is, just leave a comment, a question, and we'll chat about it. So. All right, so joining us today, we've got the lovely Kristin Rasmussen from Scholastic. Welcome, Kristin. Yeah, it's so good to have you on these days, Kristin.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, really livening up the joint here. And then our returning champion, we always miss you when you're not around, Tom Benton from Penguin. Unfortunately, Liz Camfiord was scheduled to be on today from Random House, but she is stuck in New Mexico, and so she couldn't make it, but we'll see her again. And behind the scenes, we have Joey with all things Chisme and links, and I will be your bookseller today. I'll be your bookseller every day, but I'm talking about, I've got 3 books I'm pretty excited about that I'm going to talk to you about today as well. So why don't we get started, Kristin, with you?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you again for having me. I wanted to start today with a real bright spot on our publishing calendar here. A few weeks ago or a month ago or so when I was on, I talked about Christy Mandin's first book, which was called Millie Fleur's Poison Garden. And it's a book that we were so proud to publish because it talks all about being wonderfully weird and embracing your weird and, doing things that make you happy and teaching everyone else about those weird and wonderful things. And now Christy's back with Millie Fleur Saves the Night. And I don't know if you can really see it very well, but this is Millie, and this is a picture. Oh, there it is. Thanks, Joey. This is a picture of the dark. This is what the dark looks like. And I think she's pretty cute. She's got the branches coming out, and she's not so scary after all. And in this story, Christy takes us back to her hometown of Garden Glen. Everybody's growing weird and wonderful things in their garden now, and Millie's got new friends, and her garden is flourishing. But what she discovers is that all of the wonderful critters and things that come out in the night can't really stand out because everybody has all the lights going all the time. The path lights, the street lights, the house lights, the porch lights, all the lights are on. And so you can't see all the cool stuff that comes out in the nighttime. So she has a new mission now, unlike her mission in the first book, which is to get everybody to grow really cool things in their garden. This one is to get everybody to turn out the lights and embrace the darkness. Because the dark isn't really so scary after all, especially when it's as cute as this illustration right here. So Millie's on a new mission to get everybody to turn their lights out so they can see all the great things. And she creates this wonderful moon party where she has moon pies and all kinds of great things to bring the children of the town together and the parents of the town together in an effort to embrace, as I said, the wonderful darkness. So this is just classic Christy. This is her second book with us, and we are just over the moon, excuse the pun, to be publishing Millie Fleur. We love her so much. This one just came out yesterday. I know that Diesel has it, and I'm sure they would be happy to sell you a copy, and you will not regret it. Another great thing about this one I wanted to mention is it's just such a perfect summertime book for parents and kids because it talks a lot about getting outside, making discoveries, growing things, getting your hands dirty, having little adventures together in your own yard. You don't have to go very far. And I think for that reason and many, many others, it's just a wonderful summer book for parents and children. So this is Millie Fleur Saves the Night.
She talks about that a lot. Generally speaking, the Millie Fleur books are all deal with, like the outside, right? And the outdoors and discovering outdoors. That's one of the things I really love about this series. I mean, as Joey points out, the other thing I really love about, the main thing I love about the series is that it's just so cute. It's so cute. And she, writes about dark things, not just here with the exploring the actual dark, but right. Dark concepts, and makes them less scary. And they're not like overly cute, but they're just different ways of looking at things that can be scary or intimidating. And she does such a great job with that. She
really does. No, she really has such a deft touch. It feels very sophisticated almost in a way that's approachable for parents and kids. It has a really just her the quality illustrations. They're just wonderful, brilliant. It's a little bit Wednesday Addams.
A little bit.
It's got that little bit of a tinge of just kind of weird and dark, which is great. And I think parents will really enjoy that. And so far, the response from kids, I was just at a bookstore in Sacramento. I was seeing another customer, Wild Sisters, up in Sacramento, and they had me read it to the kids over the weekend. And the response was great. Yeah, it was great. I really, really liked it. And I think that idea of like that Christy pushes of being wonderfully weird really resonates with people. So I'm super happy that people are loving it.
Absolutely. I haven't seen anybody, kids or their parents, pick up this book or this series of Millie Fleur and not just completely fall in love with it.
Yeah. So she's hard not to love.
Yeah. Great start. Thanks, Kristin.
Of course.
All right, Tom.
All right. So I'm going to talk about my first book is on sale next Tuesday. So pre-order it now. And I think you better pre-order it because the buzz is really, really happening. So it's Marriage at Sea by Sophie Elmhirst, which I know, Deborah, you are a fan of as well. And I've just been like Bug Hollow last week. I've been waiting. I've been talking about this book for many, many months, and it's almost here. So next Tuesday, July 8th. So this book is the story of Maurice and Marilyn, who are, it's early 1970s. Maurice especially has a dream his dream is to sell all their possessions, buy a boat, and set sail from England. I think it's to New Zealand. Does that sound right, Deborah? Is it?
Yeah, that's where it was. Yeah.
Which now I'm a person I'm not a seafaring person. So this is absolutely insane. This is just from the jump, absolutely insane. But they do it. So it's June of 1972 that they set sail from England. And for a while, for many months, things go well. They're making progress. But then in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there is a whale who makes a hole in the boat, and they end up on a raft for over 100 days. And this is the story of survival in those extreme circumstances, just survival, but also the marriage part, the survival of the marriage. That's why I love. So there's so many things. So it's just a great read. Sophie Elmhirst. This is her first book, but she's a New Yorker writer. It's like, to me, it's just like the perfect length. It was not, it's like a jewel-like book. Every sentence is just the right sentence. And it's exciting, it's thrilling, it's overwhelming in many ways, it's moving. I cannot recommend it enough for readers of David Grann. I think readers, anybody who like The Art Thief, just books that are just great nonfiction narratives that deliver every feeling, every emotion, really well told. So the book in England was called Maurice and Marilyn, which, maybe worked in the UK, but I think Marriage at Sea is a much better title. So one of my favorite people in publishing is Jen at Riverhead, and she is the sort of marketing genius behind Riverhead, but she's also an editor on occasion when she finds the right book. So she found Wintering a few years ago, which became now it's a perennial bestseller. That was also from the UK. She publishes Pico Iyer. So she's done the last couple of books with Pico Iyer. Now, and she found Maurice and Marilyn in the UK, read it, fell in love with it. They work. So I'm so happy they changed the title, because I think the sea part is really important, but the marriage part might be more important. So I love that a marriage comes first in the title. So it was a bestseller in the UK. The buzz here is just building and building and building in the most, like, just the way you want it, very organic, people talking about it. It's an Indie Next pick. The New York Times Book Review podcast, so the editor of the book review and a couple of the editors there talked about the books they're most looking forward to this summer. This was one of them. The quote was, "Gird your loins and line up your couples therapist." That's true, both counts. I think last week, the book won the Book of the Year in England. Bill Bryson was the leader of the jury that picked it, like, overall, like fiction, nonfiction Book of the Year. And he described it as an enthralling, engrossing story of survival and the resilience of the human spirit, impressively novelistic in its narrative approach. It's a gripping retelling of a true but forgotten story. So I think this book is for everyone, every kind of reader, and can't wait for it to be out in the world. So that's Marriage at Sea, next week, Sophie Elmhirst.
Okay, so Tom knows I was going to talk about this book, and then he said I'm talking about this book, and I was like, fine, just because you're the rep.
I love when we both talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, so I actually had the galley, and Tom said, "Hey, have you checked this out yet?" And I always listen to Tom, and I could absolutely not put it down. I was flabbergasted by just so many different elements of this story. And they wrote, they had a book, and you didn't mention, Tom, that they did this again after they got another boat.
Well, that's beyond comprehension. I cannot keep that in my head, because that's insane.
So we figured, Tom and I, we were talking about it. There's just so many different angles, and you've covered a lot of them, so I'm not gonna spend the whole hour talking about this book, although I absolutely could, because it's so fascinating. But we decided that they survived simply by dint of their Britishness. The two of them, they're just so British. They were, and they had to do, they had to catch turtles and eat like raw turtle, and things like that, and drink eyeballs. That's how they were getting water.
The most British, I think, made them that. Yes.
Yeah, so they had to do all these insane things, and also, they're on a tiny, tiny little raft, and they have to, there's sickness, or they have to, go to the bathroom in a bucket and things like this in front of each other, And they mentioned that, so a lot of it is from Marilyn's actually managed to keep a diary during this buffeting, and a lot of it is taken from her actual diary of things that she was writing during the time. And they're like, well, just like massively stiff upper lip kind of a thing, and that is how they survived. It's incredible, because
And
I don't know about you, Tom, but I think about being stranded on a raft in the middle of the ocean with my husband, and I'm like, that I just jump, forget it.
you can't, all of us who read this book, you can't help but put you and your spouse or partner in
Yeah.
that raft with them. Yes, no, and it's not a pretty picture. No.
And he's like, well, you're a vegetarian, so I know what I'm eating. So that's I'm fine. I'll just jump. I'm not even gonna. Anyway, incredible story, really amazing book. I hope it really does gangbusters. It's fantastic, and I can't wait to see it out there too. And I've been talking about it ever since since I read it ages ago. So, great book.
And isn't it a great I just love the publishing story too. Like an editor.
Yeah, well, she's got an amazing eye. Obviously.
Yeah, and then she thought, no, we're not going to call it. We can't call it Maurice and Marilyn in the States. It's got to be. We got to come up with a better title. So
yeah, it's great. Thank you, Tom. All right, I'm also gonna talk about my first book. So I'm kind of gonna go. The first book I'm gonna talk about is not due until August 5th, and then I'll come back to one that's on sale now. But it's already July 2nd, so you can pre-order this. It might show up early, who knows? So I highly recommend it. It's called Hollow Spaces by, and his name is Victor Fitamanon. And don't make me say that again. I actually looked up the pronunciation. This is a fantastic book. It's very unusual. It's combines sort of a legal thriller with a domestic kind of drama. So the basic premise here is that there is a partner in a law firm. He's the only Asian American partner in his firm, and he is accused of murdering an associate in the firm with whom he was having a torrid affair. He's married with 2 small children. So that might sound a little bit like Presumed Innocent if you remember the Scott Turow, and it's the little shades of that. So when the novel opens, the trial is just wrapping up, and he is acquitted of this murder, but it doesn't matter because life is ruined at this point. Everybody thinks he did it. All of this dirt has come out. His wife is just not even speaking to him anymore. The kids are freaked out and traumatized, and they get rid of him at the firm. And there's little intimations of racism as well. So that's one timeline. So we follow him, and he is a flawed character in this timeline. And then the second timeline is 30 years later, and it's his kids who have grown up now, his daughter and son, and they've always been conflicted about whether or not he did it. They were kids when this happened. The daughter always felt like he was innocent, but the son always has felt that he was guilty. And the sort of the stain of this whole thing has followed them their entire lives and affected their way they do things and live their lives. Anyway, they reunite, or they come to, their mother is dying, so they are together at her bedside, and they decide, the two of them, to kind of look into the case. The daughter is now an attorney, and the son is a war correspondent. So they decide to open it up and investigate it and see what they can find, and finally settle it after all of these years. So you follow the 2 timelines. You get inside his head, the affair, how it happened, what he was thinking all the time, and then the kids, right? And you see how it has affected their lives. And they start turning up evidence, and then they start getting threatening phone calls. And so they're obviously uncovering stuff that has been buried for a long time. It's so well done. I was so impressed by how he managed to balance these 2 elements of really a thriller that you really you never know whether he actually did it until the very end, and he's so good about kind of stringing that along and making these characters, they have a lot of flaws. They're not, that's why you don't know. And so you can be guilty of one thing and not guilty of another thing. And what does that mean? And then it shows how all of this stuff affects generations of people and how families can get destroyed by things. And never mind the murder, the affair, and all of these things that happen. So another one I couldn't put down. It's going to be great. It's got all of those elements. It's like a literary thriller, a legal thriller, and a really interesting. He's really great with the character study. So highly recommend. And that's going to be out on August 5th.
Yeah, sounds amazing. And it does have the feel. I remember the feeling I had reading Presumed Innocent way back when. It definitely has. That sounds so good.
I thought I kept thinking about Presumed Innocent, but then he takes it. He sort of goes out. He himself is an attorney as well, so it really is. It has that authentic feeling, the legal stuff. So
I love that idea that he goes so far in the future, 30 years down the road, to see the impact of the people involved. In their lives down, because that.
Yeah, and you really see the kids, how they made like similar mistakes and how it was affected and how it affected their relationship, and all of this stuff. So
that sounds great.
Very good. All right, Kristin, back to you.
Okay, I'm back up. Well, first of all, I have to say, I would buy anything that Tom is selling.
Right? Right?
He has sold me many, many, many books and recommended, and they're always good choices. So listen to that man for sure. Okay, so next up is one of my favorites of the summer. It just came out last month, the beginning of June. It's called Best of All Worlds by Ken Oppel. Ken is a phenomenal writer. That cover I love so much. You can't miss it. It's a great cover, and it's just a phenomenal story. And I know this one, as Tom mentioned, his other one was an Indie Next. This was an Indie Next choice in the kids area, and I think it totally deserves every bit of praise that it gets. It is a wild ride. When we read this in advance for sales conference, this was definitely the most talked about book of that season, because all the reps were just blown away by it, and continue to be. And I'm really excited to see that it's been well received in a lot of bookstores so far. So I'll just give you kind of a little snapshot without giving too much away, but because this all happens very early in the story. Essentially, a teenage boy, his dad and stepmom, who is pregnant, go to their, lakeside cabin somewhere, not really sure where, but they go to their lakeside cabin together to get away. And the young man wakes up in the morning and looks outside, and they're not where they were when they went to sleep. They're in a completely different landscape. Now it's like farmland, and there's a barn in the distance, and he can hear the cows and the chickens and all the, everything that would be at a farm. And the house is exactly the way it was when they left it, but everything outside has changed, and they're the only ones there. There's no one else around. So they're completely alone in an area that they've been transplanted to somehow, and they're trying to figure out what the hell happened. And it is absolutely a crazy ride, and so well done. It's basically a survival story, but twisted around in a kind of really strange way. They're trying to figure out, again, how they got here and what they're supposed to do. And at some point, a little further along in the story, another family plops down in this environment, and they are basically a family of kind of survivalists. And so, and the perspective of the two families are very, very, very different politically, ideologically, social, every way different, opposite type of people. And so the story of how they all end up there and how they kind of coincide and live together is really, really interesting. And then I won't say too much about what happens further down the road, but it will blow you away. And I've heard so many good things, lots and lots of love from Booksellers about this book, and it's all really, really well deserved. And it's actually kind of a perfect size too. It's not an overly heavy lift for young people looking for a good read this summer. It's classified as YA, so young adult, but it actually, I think, could skew a little bit younger. You could easily, a 7th, 8th grader could read this, not really any content. But I also think an adult could read it and enjoy it. It's just that kind of book. It has a long lifespan. There's a lot of people who would enjoy it. So I know that it has some fans there at Diesel and at some of my other stores. So if you get a chance, if you're looking for a really engaging young adult story, this one is it. It's fantastic.
Okay, I have to read this book. I haven't seen it, and I haven't seen it, but so this is a thing that I think about a lot. Like, one of my, weird little feers is that I'm going to wake up and, everything, it's going to be,
You need to read it. You need to read it.
I do.
When I was selling it, I kept saying, Deborah, to people, it feels a little bit like the book Leave the World Behind.
Yeah.
It kind of had that vibe a little bit. And so I was drawn to it right away. And I don't think anybody could do a better job with it than Ken Oppel. It really, it just pulls you in. It's so, so good.
All right. Well, I gotta get my hands on a copy of this.
It'll take you like an afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the concept is something that crosses my mind on a regular basis.
Yeah. You'll love it.
Excellent. I'm just mesmerized by that cover too. That's such an amazing cover.
Yeah, you can't take your eyes off that cover.
I know, right?
It's pretty great.
Thank you, Kristin. All right, Tom.
All right, I have a couple of mysteries for summer reading. So my first is Megan Abbott's El Dorado Drive. And I love Megan Abbott. We haven't always published her. We've only published 3 books. This is the 3rd book we've published by her. But she is really in the pantheon. She is like, Dennis Lane, you name the modern master of noir suspense, Megan Abbott is in that conversation. My favorite of hers up until now was The Turnout, which was about, was set inside the world of ballet, like young girls ballet. And it was a banger. Fantastic.
It was so good. I loved The Turnout. The Turnout was so good.
I know. And so that's to me I don't know if she does this. I haven't read all of her books, but what she seems to do best is like zero in on the world of women of all ages. In that case, it was young women, especially, but like the details, every corner covered of women's lives, she's investigating in her mysteries. So this book is set in Michigan, where she's from originally. And it's set in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. And it's a family there's 3 sisters. They come from money, but they come from, the car business. Their family had lots of money, very wealthy in the Detroit suburbs in the heyday of the auto industry. Things have gotten a lot tougher. And so these 3 women are used to living a certain, their life money-wise, they've kept up a certain, level, and they're privileged, and they are trying to figure out how to survive now. They all have kids. It opens at a graduation party where kind of you're in this. One of the sisters' sons is graduating, and you're immediately in the world of these sisters and the power dynamics among the sisters. And then one of the sisters, so they're all struggling financially and marriage-wise as well. One of the sisters introduces the idea of the wheel. And the wheel it offers women like themselves at, usually at midlife when they're kind of in declining, then their means are declining. This is a way to make money independent of husbands, independent of families. this is the sales pitch of The Wheel, which I love that name. It is a pyramid scheme, multi-level marketing scheme, but women driven and powered. But it leads, of course, to murder and deceit, and so she's exploring all of these currents of greed, especially, but like what women feel like at this age, and in this setting. It's riveting. It's about the destructive impulses we all kind of have. It's fantastic. So Maureen Corrigan talked about the two mysteries I'm going to talk about, and she said about this: the spell of on Fresh Air, the spell of this smart, socially pointed suspense novel lingers long after The Wheel's stash of cash and one of its members are no more. So Megan Abbott's El Dorado Drive, so good. If you want a really good summer mystery to lose yourself in, but dark.
Dark is okay if it takes you out of your own dark and into some other dark.
That's
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
right.
Dark that is happening like down the road or in a book is very different. And nobody does it better than she does. Fantastic. Yeah. I was like all set to talk about The Turnout, but you beat me to it. I love The Turnout. So Joey, maybe link to The Turnout as well, because the pad's out in paperback, and that's a great one.
That was a masterpiece.
It was really, really, really good. But this one sounds really fun as well. Yeah. I mean, in a dark way. But,
yes, right.
I mean, that's why we read it, though, right? You have fun. Exactly. You have fun. The summer thrillers, like the one I just talked about, or the one I'm about to talk about as well. It's they're perfect for summer. Just to sort of lose yourself in the longer days, and so she's can't lose Megan Abbott. So exactly. There it is. Thank you so much, Joey. There's The Turnout. Also recommend that one. All right, so I warned Tom when he was having trouble with his camera, which seemed to be like it had a mind of its own, that I was going to talk about this next book, The Confessions by Paul Bradley Carr. And that one is out on, I believe it's Simon & Schuster or Atria. It's going to be out on the 22nd, and so that's 3 weeks from now. So we're all talking and thinking about AI, right? And he picks it up over here, Paul Bradley Carr, and really does something with it. Again, this is absolutely a thriller, kind of a tech thriller. But it, like the last book I talked about, like Hollow Spaces, it gets into, human mind and what makes us tick and why we do the things we do, which is something I ask myself every day. And when I read this, I was like, wow, he's really doing an amazing job. So the basic premise here is that the chatbot in this world is called Liam. And Liam, basically, nobody makes decisions for themselves at all anymore. Liam does it. So everybody is completely dependent on this chat, which is where we're going, right? That's the idea. Like, what should I have for dinner? Should I, tell my husband that I'm having an affair? Just every single decision. I cannot decide, like, what shall I wear today? Everybody's brain has been taken over with the AI. Yeah, Wall-E society, but like not cute in any way. Anyway, Liam has this weird crisis of conscience, the chatbot, and Liam decides, no, this is not right for humanity, and hell with it, I'm just going to shut myself down. But before Liam does this, he sends out confessions, letters. Everybody gets a letter. Everybody has confessed to him. And all of these sins he sends. So, like, if somebody has talked about, like, where do I go to hide my affair from my wife? The wife gets a letter saying, sorry, but this is what's been going on. Everybody. So you can imagine, I mean, first of all, everything comes to a standstill because nobody can decide whether or not to cross the street. But also, all of these, it's all out in the open, and these are big, big. It's not just like little things, they're like big things. So obviously it's a crisis, and the world is going to come to a standstill unless we can find um, Liam's creator, who with some sort of line of code to try to figure out. Anyway, so the chase is on. There of course is corporate interests want to control everything globally, and that is the story. It's horrifying and extremely well done. Another one I just really could not put down. Paul Bradley Carr is a bookseller. And so you had me at bookseller when I read that in the bio, and I was like, oh, well, this is going to be good. And it is. And bookseller knows how to write a book. If a bookseller is also a writer, a bookseller knows how to write a book, and he does. So I hope that this one does really well. This is a great summer read as well. And this one is genuinely frightening, though. And I keep thinking about it every time we see some other horrible AI thing. The Confessions, Paul Bradley Carr.
Yeah, I've been thinking. I met him at a Kaliba event, I think, and I had never met him before. But when he talked about the book, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm terrified, but I'm all in." It sounds so good, but
it's so good. It's so good. It really is. Couldn't put it down. So, Kristin, on that note.
Okay, well that's a tough act to follow. And now for something completely different. Let's see. So next up for me,
touch and feel, scratch and sniff.
No kidding. Can we get some stickers up in here?
Yes. Where's that Jaws 50th anniversary sticker book again? I want that book.
I know that. I know. I gave mine to Liz, and she was very happy about it too. I know she was very excited. So next up, I have a graphic novel, and we do an awful lot of graphic novels through our imprint graphics, and they're all pretty great, I have to say. This guy's series is one of my favorites. It's called Unico, and the second volume of Unico just came out yesterday. The first was called Unico Awakening, and this is the second. Not necessary to read the first if you want to jump right to the second, but I know that Diesel has had one and probably has two, or could get it for you if you want them. Samuel Sattin is bringing this to us. It's kind of a collaboration. Osamu Tezuka was the kind of visionary Japanese cartoonist who originated this concept, and then Sam took it to the next level with what we see today as Unico. I like to call this manga with training wheels. It's not traditional Japanese manga, but it has its roots in that, and it reads Western style, left to right, not the Eastern style. So it is not traditional manga, but it echoes a lot of those ideas, and it's really just lovely and adorable and great concepts. And it's a unicorn. It's a baby unicorn. I mean, there's really nothing better. And so it takes this baby unicorn on all these epic adventures and horrible enemies and wonderful allies. And it's just great. It's really, really just great. And so this graphic novel is perfect for your middle grade reader. I'd say the sweet spot on this one is probably grades 3, 4, and 5, something like that. It's a graphic novel, so obviously it's very, very heavily illustrated. So if you have an older child who's maybe struggling a bit with reading, or a reluctant reader, it would be wonderful because it's got so much there's so many great adventures, and it's really got something for everyone. So Unico is the first one's Unico Awakening, that came out last summer. This one's Unico Hunted, just came out yesterday. Both are fantastic. And yes, I think Joey put in there about Tezuka that this is Sam's love, respect, and honor for all things anime, it runs deep and wide. So this is coming from someone with a true respect for the form, and I think he does a phenomenal job with it. So and Sam's based in San Francisco, but travels back and forth to Japan quite a bit. And we do have some true traditional manga titles on our list, and have had a few, and but this is a little bit different, and I think it's a really nice kind of entry point for a lot of children. So I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, it's a baby unicorn. I can't stress that enough.
I also think, and which is something that comes up a lot actually, is the kids who have older siblings. That's why the new picture book, Wild Robot,
from the,
you know, was great for, you've got older siblings who are already reading manga, and who have like progressed to that level, and they're not quite ready for that, and this is great for them so that they can sort of feel included. And you know, I love it when there's that combination, you know.
It's a nice stepping stone, exactly. And it's very it's something that parents could trust and know that it's perfect for younger readers. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So a great filling, a really an excellent little niche over there for for the younger readers. Yeah, perfect.
I think so. And you'll see more. This is the second, as I said, and we have more signed up for with Sam, as far as I know. So I know they want to really turn this into something great, and so far the response has been really good.
I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Thank you, Kristin.
You're welcome.
Baby unicorn. How could the response not be great?
It's a baby unicorn.
Okay, so my second mystery is The House on Buzzards Bay by Dwyer Murphy. This is his third book. So I went from, a master like Megan Abbott to a really excellent up-and-coming mystery writer. This is his third book. The first was, it was sort of a book-related retelling. It had lots of Chinatown in it, but it was also the book world. So I devoured that. The last two books, the last one and then this one, are seaside settings. The last one was The Stolen Coast. This is The House on Buzzards Bay. And Dwyer Murphy he's an editor he's the editor-in-chief of LitHub's Crime Reads. So he's really steeped in this kind of, he knows mysteries really well. So he's playing with all kinds of tropes, and he knows exactly what he's doing. So in the new book, it's a beach house in a town in Massachusetts, coastal Massachusetts. A group of college friends, so you got a little bit of Big Chill, getting together after time apart, and they go to this house and on this bay. And the town is on the site of an old spiritualist campground, so we already know there's going to be stuff going on. And so he gets in. So it's very atmosphere. His thing is atmosphere. I feel like character and atmosphere. I mean, as much as there is mystery here, there's a bit of Agatha Christie, locked room here, but really it's all the other stuff. Because they have the sense that they're being watched from the other side of the bay. Something is going on. We're not quite sure. Then there's a lot of twists and turns that get us there. So really fun, mystery, as we enter the heart of summer. So Maureen Corrigan, same review of all of upcoming mysteries. She had 4 mysteries. 2 of them were ours. One was the Megan Abbott. The other one was this. And she said, Gothic chill wafts like ocean mist throughout this tale of college friends reuniting at an old house one of them has inherited. So if you're in the mood for something spooky, but not too spooky, but just really well done, House on Buzzards Bay.
Yeah, so I think this is a little bit less dark psychologically than it's still murder.
Yeah, exactly. Have to have the murder, yes.
Yeah. It's like that English show that on BritBox that we watch when we can't handle anything, called The Good Ship Murder.
I don't know that one. Oh my God.
Like Love Boat Murder, Right. But so it's a little bit, it's less psychologically dark, which is great. But it's still really, atmosphere is so much of it, don't you think?
Yeah.
And he does that really well. Stolen Coast I really liked a lot. So I haven't read this one yet, but it seems like it's
good.
yeah, it seems like it's the same sort of level of atmospheric, just lose yourself kind of a thing. So
right.
yeah.
And I love that since he knows so much about the genre, he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Tom. And I'm also gonna go for another. We're dark today on, except for Kristin. Actually, you're a little bit dark also, baby unicorn notwithstanding. Um, but so my last book of the day is Carved in Blood, Hannah Westerman, uh, Hannah Westerman thriller, by Michael Bennett. So this is the third in the series. Usually Andrea Tetrick will probably talk about it next time she's on, because it's just out now, or actually it's on sale in a few weeks, but it's available, and we probably have it in stock, Joey, I'm sure, already. And so this is the third in his series of Hannah Westerman thrillers. She's a Maori New Zealand police officer, retired. Um, and what he does so well here from the first one, which was Better the Blood, and then I've temporarily forgotten the second one, but blood is in the title. But what he does so well, and he is a screenwriter, so it's unbelievably, all of the books are extremely visual, and you could really comes alive, and he really knows how to make a scene come alive. But he, as much as he talks about the thriller and the whatever the crime is that happens in each book, he focuses just as much on the Maori, their history there in New Zealand, all of the terrible things that have happened to them, the culture. Every crime in each book is tied into Maori traditions, Maori history, and he really gets into that. I learned so much, and it was it was fascinating. And Hannah Westerman is the key, in each one of the books, and she has retired from the police force. She had all kinds of trouble, things that I won't spoil. Spoiler alerts. She has a kid and an ex, and at the beginning of this one, the ex is gunned down in a seemingly random act of violence, but of course it isn't. There's something behind it, and so she sort of is pulled back in to the police force to investigate. I highly recommend the entire series. I really was like hooked immediately. I was a really early reader on Better the Blood, and I've been a big promoter of his ever since. It's a really great series. I'm so happy. His was like the first in what I feel like is a little mini wave of New Zealand setting novels. And I can't get enough of it. It's fascinating to me. The culture, but also there's so much I didn't know about New Zealand. And it's really, really, really interesting. And it moves. He's got a great sense of pacing, and like I said, atmosphere, and very visual. So, a great and unusual thriller. And you don't have to read them in order. I mean, I would buy all of them if you don't know it, and if you're a fan of the genre. So the cover is cool. The covers are all really cool. So, and they all involve like Maori tattoos and symbols. So that's my last book of the day. Yeah, Kristin.
Okay, up
Book
next.
number 4.
Number 4. I chose another graphic novel. This one is called Miss Camper. It just came out yesterday. So yesterday was a big day for us, an exciting day. Lots of good stuff. We had Unico, we had Millie, Fleur, and now the new book by Kat Fajardo called Miss Camper. Kat did another book for us that was a huge success, Miss Quinces, and that came out May of 2022. And talking about the quinceañera, and this is now the same character, and she is at camp. So it's either the bane of every child's existence or the best time of their lives. I think it's very black or white. No,
Well,
you never
sometimes
know.
it's both, right? Sometimes it can be both.
Sometimes I can be both, and maybe this is one of those times. So in this book, Sue finds herself at camp, something she generally loves, except that this year her older sister is a counselor. And so, of course, probably being super bossy, as older sisters are. And her younger sister is a new camper at the camp. So she's kind of flanked on either side by her siblings, and I'm sure they're kind of spoiling all of her fun. And I just, the whole tone of Kat's books is so lovely. It's so warm and tender. She deals with her characters in such a loving way. And they're just kind of misunderstood and trying to figure things out, as we all are. And she does just such a beautiful job with it. And I think also the fact that this comes out, just came out yesterday, it's kind of prime boredom season for a lot of kids, where they're just really looking, I really need something to make me laugh. I need a character I can relate to. This is of course a graphic novel, so it's filled with her wonderful, as she writes and illustrates the book, filled with her wonderful illustrations. And honestly, it's just so completely relatable and just really, really fun and funny. And also very tender and sweet. So I love Miss Camper. I think Kat's work is great. And I think this would just make just a perfect summer read for a child in middle grade. I guess the age range for this one is grades 3 to 7. So it's a pretty big range. But if you're a strong reader in third grade, you do just great with it. Again, for parents who have maybe a little more reluctant readers, the fact that it's a graphic novel really helps tell the story for them. The visuals are super helpful and important. So Miss Camper is just a great one. Can't go wrong.
I see a lot of parents sometimes that they're kind of on the fence, or if they're new to the graphic novels, or it's not what it's not what we had when we grew up.
Right.
There was not. Well, actually, there were like Asterix I read, which I realize is comics,
Right.
But I learned a lot from those books, but sometimes I think parents think, well, it's it's comic books, but it's really not. They're very sophisticated, and there's just as much, it's helpful. There's not as much text, obviously, and there's, a lot more visual, but these are great for reluctant readers or readers who are a little unsure or may have some difficulties tracking, or, things like that, any of those things. And it just gets them in, it just gets them into readers, and then they move on from that. And I just think that that's why these graphic novels are doing so well, and
they're really strong. They have the story arc is there. It's not that's not the 6-panel comic strips that we were used to growing up with. It's this a whole other level. The graphics imprint that we have is now, if you can believe it, 20 years old. When I think about
that's crazy.
It seems like it's a heartbeat ago that it was new, and we were introducing graphic novels, and now they've just exploded. And so I love to see the continued growth of this segment, and how people like Sam Sattin with Unico and Kat with Miss Camper and the many, many others that we have are really creating something special and new for, like you said, it's great for reluctant readers, but it also has so much good stuff that really feeds a strong reader will really be excited about this.
There's so much there's so much you can get from it. I realized I didn't read a lot, but what I did has stayed with me throughout my life. I learned that's real history that I learned, and also I learned a lot of puns. So
exactly.
Anyway, this is great, and it couldn't be cuter.
It's
also
very cute.
Yeah,
I love her. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Kristin. All right, Tom, let's wrap it up for the day.
Okay, so this may be as much of a surprise to you as it was to me. It's a book called The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy. I learned many things while selling this book. One of them, I learned how to spell irresistible, which I did all different kinds of ways until I finally got it right.
That's a hard one.
It is, for some reason. So we talk a lot about the Indie Next list, and some books booksellers embrace them. It just happens. This is the #1 Indie Next pick for July. It is on sale next week. And I saw it as I went around to sell the book. I would be selling the book to the buyer, and then there'd be a bookseller who would be like, wait, tell me more about this book. Because it comes out of so I'm learning I'm still learning, Deborah. I'm still learning after all these years. And in this case, I learned about Dramione, which is fan fiction about Draco Malfoy and Hermione Granger. That is a big thing. And so I learned about that. I was first very puzzled, but now maybe I'm still a bit puzzled, but happy that books that aren't fan fiction come out of these worlds. So there are 3 books coming out of Dramione. This is the first of them. They're all different. So and they only share the Draco and Hermione thing in that was their original world, but the writers have created new worlds that maybe you might recognize some of the attributes of those characters. I don't know. But this is more like, this is the Berkeley, that Berkeley publishes Ali Hazelwood. This is very much in the Ali Hazelwood mold. As you can see from the cover, there's STEM, there's enemies to lovers, all these things. So I think this is going to be a huge bestseller. As I said, #1 Indie Next pick. The quote from the bookseller that went with the Indie Next pick was, the bookseller said, a fun, witty, enemies to lovers romance that delivers plenty of banter, sizzling tension, and the right amount of angst. If you love a stubborn and slow burn romance, this one has exactly what you're looking for. So expect this. It'll be on shelves next Tuesday, and I think it's going to be one of our biggest hits of the summer. The irresistible urge to fall for your enemy.
Well, I feel like I need a cheat sheet before I start.
It took me a while. It took me a while.
Would you say it took you longer than Dungeon Crawler Carl, or
it's about the same amount of time? But that is exactly what I kept thinking about as I learned the magic of Dungeon Crawler Carl. I've also learned how to say Dungeon Crawler Carl. I also learned that in this case, how to spell irresistible, and that there is this world out there that I know nothing about that is quite people are really into.
I do have my colleagues and bookseller friends that sometimes I ask to explain these things to me if I don't. But not this one. I have.
Imagine the look on my face when they first presented this book, and I was completely lost. And then the younger reps, there are many younger reps.
Yeah.
They were like, "What are you talking about? It's Dramione."
Right. It's just yeah. I mean, we're old. What can I say? But, but
we can still learn about these things.
That is the name of the.
Can you spell it though, Tom?
Took me many months.
But that's it. We're all sharks here. We got to keep swimming, otherwise, for the 50th, I'm like it's Shark Month here, so.
I am living proof that AI hasn't taken over everything. I'm sure AI could have told me everything all at once, but no, I wanted to learn slowly.
Yeah.
As we do. Yeah.
As we do. Exactly. And on that note, I want to thank everybody for bringing such fabulous books today to talk about. All wonderful. And all fantastic summer reads. So thank you. Kristin Rasmussen from Scholastic, and thank you, Tom Benton from Penguin. And as always, thank you, Joey, for all of that you're doing behind the scenes. And Joey's been in front of the curtain a lot lately. So, and thanks everybody for joining us. We're going to be back again next week. We'll have more reps. We will have more books, and we look forward to seeing you all then. So please come back and join us. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.